California affordable housing trends show the American dream is fading, priced out, fenced off, reserved elsewhere. But hidden towns in California affordable living reveal places beyond beaches and tech hubs most viewers ignore. Places where cheap homes in California remain attainable, routines exist, and life isn't built for influencers. This isn't glossy real estate or empty hype. It's a closer look at overlooked corners of the state where affordability, compromise, and real life intersect. Number 10. Blythe. Blythe is where California quietly gives up trying to impress you and accidentally becomes affordable. Parked along the Colorado River near the Arizona border, Blythe feels less like a city and more like a checkpoint between realities. Blink on Interstate 10 and you miss it. Stop, and suddenly you're staring at one of the cheapest housing markets left in the state, along with the realization that isolation is part of the deal. Median home prices typically range from $190,000 to $220,000. In a state where $800,000 buys stress and cracked drywall, Blythe still offers real houses. Two-bedroom rents often sit between $900 and $1,100, and the overall cost of living runs 30 to 35% below the California average. That difference isn't cosmetic, it's survival. The trade-off is choice. Fewer stores, fewer services, fewer backup options when something closes early or never opens at all. The heat is not exaggerated. Summer regularly reaches 115 degrees Fahrenheit, with historical spikes near 124 degrees Fahrenheit. This isn't weather, it's a schedule enforcer. Life happens early, late, and mostly indoors. Air conditioning is treated like electricity, not a luxury. And when it breaks, your day is officially over. Complaining is inefficient. Adaptation wins. Jobs come from agriculture, logistics, river tourism, corrections, and cross-state commerce with Arizona. Not glamorous, but dependable. When trend-based economies wobble, Blythe keeps moving. Crime trends lean heavily toward property issues. Violent incidents remain lower than outsiders expect, though caution still shapes routines after dark. Healthcare exists without the drama. Palo Verde Hospital provides emergency and inpatient care, sparing residents long desert drives, though specialty services often require crossing state lines or planning ahead. Freedom is Blythe's unadvertised feature. HOAs are rare. RVs, boats, and trailers don't trigger meetings. You can own land and use it, though that independence comes with responsibility. Fewer regulations also mean fewer safety nets. City services are basic, but functional. Roads patched, power steady, bureaucracy minimal by necessity. At sunset, the desert exhales. The river reflects the sky. Stars appear without permission. And the mortgage often under $800 a month. Blythe doesn't sell aspiration. It offers relief, space, and math that still works. If you're comfortable living where simplicity is the price of affordability. Number 9. Susanville. Susanville is where California goes when it wants silence, snow, and space to think. Tucked into Lassen County near the Nevada line, this town doesn't try to charm you. It waits to see if you can handle it. People here are practical, blunt, and unusually self-reliant. Nobody's impressed by titles. What matters is whether your truck starts and you show up when it counts. Daily life runs slower, not lazier. Mornings are quiet. Traffic is a rumor. Grocery trips are planned, not impulsive. Median home prices sit around $210,000 to $230,000, with rents often near $950 to $1,100. Cost of living runs roughly 25 to 30% below the California average, which turns home ownership from fantasy into paperwork. The economy is anchored by corrections, government, healthcare, education, and forestry. The prison system is the largest employer, and that stability matters. Jobs aren't flashy, but they're steady. Income levels are modest, yet expenses don't ambush you every month. That balance keeps people rooted. Crime stays relatively low. Violent crime exists, but isn't dominant. Most issues are small-town predictable. Property disputes, not nightly chaos. Safety here feels quiet, not performative. Education revolves around local public schools and Lassen Community College, which doubles as a workforce pipeline. Healthcare is handled by Banner Lassen Medical Center, offering emergency services, inpatient care, and clinics. It's not a mega hospital, but you're not driving 3 hours for basic treatment either. Weather is part of the contract. Winters bring snow, real snow, 30 to 40 in annually, and summers stay mild, often topping out in the 80s. You'll shovel, you'll layer, you'll earn your seasons. Outdoor life is the reward. Hiking, fishing, hunting, skiing, and forests that don't come with parking fees. Dining is limited but sincere. Diners, local bars, Mexican spots that don't advertise. Entertainment leans community-driven. High school games, small events, long conversations. Retirees show up quietly, drawn by affordability and calm. The community notices newcomers but not aggressively. Show consistency and you're in. But isolation is real. Big city conveniences are hours away. Winter can feel long. Choice is limited. Still, Susanville doesn't offer distraction. It offers space, stability, and the rare luxury of being left alone. Number 8. King City. King City operates on crop schedules, not ambition. People here are early risers with sunburned arms and zero interest in selling a lifestyle. Daily life moves quietly, school drop-offs, shift changes, trucks rolling out before dawn. The town doesn't perform. It functions. Housing tells the real story. Median home prices sit around $460,000, which sounds painful until you notice Monterey County regularly crosses $1 million just 40 miles away. Rents average $1,500 to $1,700, and the cost of living undercuts coastal California by a noticeable margin. You still pay California prices, just without the beachfront guilt tax. The economy is agriculture first, second, and third. Lettuce, broccoli, and field logistics dominate employment. Jobs are physical, reliable, and not remote-friendly. Income is steady rather than exciting, which keeps unemployment lower than flashier towns. When tech sneezes, King City keeps harvesting. Crime remains relatively contained. Violent crime rates are lower than many Central Valley cities, while property crime is the primary concern. Residents describe safety as predictable: quiet streets, familiar faces, and problems that don't escalate unless provoked. Healthcare access relies on local clinics, with regional hospitals in Salinas, roughly 45 minutes away. Education is practical. Public schools, vocational tracks, and Hartnell College programs feeding agricultural and trade jobs. Nobody here is pretending college is the only path. Weather is one of King City's selling points. Summers warm but moderated by valley breezes. Winters mild. Outdoor life means open land, trails, and space without crowds. Dining is utilitarian. Taquerias, diners, places built to refuel workers, not impress tourists. Entertainment is sparse by design. Retirees show up quietly, usually those who value calm over culture. The town's limitation is obvious. Little nightlife, limited upward mobility, slow change. King City doesn't evolve quickly. It sustains. For some, That's exactly enough. Number 7. Marysville. Marysville feels like a town California meant to renovate and never quite finished. Sitting north of Sacramento between rivers and levees, it carries history, affordability, and anxiety in equal measure. The people are a mix of state workers, families, commuters, and residents who learned resilience before optimism. Homes remain reachable with median prices around $320,000 to $340,000, and rents near $1,300 to $1,400. The cost of living stays well below Sacramento, making Marysville a pressure valve for buyers who still want Northern California access without permanent debt. Many residents commute south, exporting labor while importing paychecks. The economy leans on government, healthcare, agriculture, and education. Jobs exist, advancement less. So infrastructure shows its age, shaped by flood management priorities and years of deferred upgrades. Crime is uneven rather than constant. Property crime dominates. Break-ins, theft, opportunistic activity. Violent crime exists, but clusters by neighborhood. Safety here depends heavily on location, timing, and local knowledge rather than blanket assumptions. Healthcare access is a strength, anchored by Adventist Health Rideout, offering emergency and specialty services. Education quality varies, improving slowly, supplemented by community colleges and trade programs. Weather follows inland Northern California patterns. Hot summers, cool winters, no coastal buffer. Outdoor access is excellent. Rivers, fishing, foothills, and open space. Dining and entertainment are improving, but modest. Sacramento fills cultural gaps when patience runs thin. Retirees arrive cautiously, often drawn by affordability, but mindful of flood insurance and infrastructure realities. Marysville's drawback is complexity. It requires attention, planning, and neighborhood awareness. But it offers something rare: Northern California home ownership without financial exhaustion. Number 6. Barstow. Barstow exists because movement never stops. Wedged between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, it survives on trains, trucks, military traffic, and people passing through without lingering. The residents who stay are pragmatic, heat-tolerant, and deeply unimpressed by spectacle. Housing remains Barstow's loudest argument. Median home prices hover around $195,000 to $210,000, with rents near $1,000. Cost of living runs roughly 25 to 30% below the California average. Ownership here is attainable because demand never overheats. The economy is built on logistics, rail operations, warehousing, military support, and highway services. Jobs are steady but limited in variety. Income levels are modest, mobility constrained, and careers tend to plateau quickly. Crime rates run higher than national averages, driven mostly by property offenses, vehicle break-ins, theft, vandalism. Violent crime occurs, but isn't constant. Safety depends heavily on neighborhood choice, something locals understand instinctively. Healthcare access is basic, supplemented by regional facilities when necessary. Education is straightforward, functional, and realistic. Weather dominates everything. Summers regularly exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind has opinions. Outdoor life exists, but it's cinematic rather than recreational. Dining options are repetitive and utilitarian. Entertainment is minimal. Social life requires effort. Retirees who arrive tend to value affordability and independence over convenience. Barstow means the rare ability to own a home without surrendering decades of income. But its heat, wind, and limited opportunity might pause someone for a few seconds. Still, Barstow doesn't soften reality. It lowers the entry price. Number 5. Delano. Delano doesn't pretend to be charming. It works. Sitting deep in the Central Valley, this town exists because agriculture demands it. The people are workers, families, multi-generational residents, and newcomers who didn't move here for vibes. Daily life follows harvest cycles. Mornings are loud, dusty, and purposeful. Afternoons slow only because the heat forces them to. Housing stays within reach by California standards. Median home prices hover around $240,000 to $260,000, with rents typically $1,100 to $1,250 for a two-bedroom. The cost of living runs roughly 30 to 35% below the state average, which matters when incomes are modest. Money stretches further here, but you'll feel every dollar you earn. The economy is agriculture-driven. Grapes, processing plants, logistics, cold storage, and distribution. Jobs are physical, consistent, and rarely remote. Income stability comes from repetition, not promotion. When crops move, paychecks follow. When they don't, the town feels it immediately. Crime leans toward property-related issues. Theft and vandalism are more common than violent incidents, though violent crime exists in pockets. Safety depends heavily on neighborhood familiarity rather than blanket assumptions. Locals know where calm lives. Healthcare access relies on regional facilities in nearby cities supplemented by local clinics. Education centers on public schools and workforce paths tied directly to agriculture and logistics. College ambition exists, but practicality dominates. Weather is aggressive. Summers regularly cross 100 degrees Fahrenheit, turning shade into strategy. Outdoor life is functional. Parks, school fields, evening walks after the sun retreats. Dining is built for fuel, not leisure. Entertainment is limited and community-driven. Delano carries weight, history, labor, fatigue. It doesn't distract you from reality. It confronts you with it, then hands you a mortgage you can actually afford. Number 4. Ridgecrest. Ridgecrest feels like a science experiment that accidentally became livable. Set in the high desert near a major military base, the town runs on engineers, defense workers, retirees, and people who value silence more than scenery. Daily life is calm, orderly, and punctuated by the occasional jet screaming overhead, like it's late for something important. Homes remain affordable by California logic. Median prices land around $235,000 to $255,000, with rents near $1,200. The cost of living runs about 20 to 25% below the state average. Utilities are manageable, property taxes reasonable, and ownership doesn't feel like a lifelong punishment. The economy is anchored by the Naval Air Weapons Station, China Lake. That single employer stabilizes everything: jobs, income, and demand. Salaries range widely from civilian support roles to high-skill engineering positions. When defense budgets wobble, the town notices, but the base rarely disappears. Crime stays lower than many towns at this price point. Most incidents involve minor property issues. Violent crime is infrequent. Safety feels boring in the best way. Healthcare access is solid for a town this size, with a regional hospital and clinics handling most needs locally. Education is surprisingly strong, supported by a population that values technical skill and stability over flash. Weather defines personality. Summers are hot but dry. Winters are cool, sometimes cold. Earthquakes happen. 6.4 and 7.1 magnitudes weren't theoretical here. The town absorbed them, rebuilt, and kept going. Outdoor life is desert hiking, stargazing, and wide-open quiet. Dining is limited, but improving. Entertainment is minimal. Social life is intentional. Ridgecrest doesn't seduce you. It offers structure, space, and affordability with occasional reminders that the ground has opinions. Number 3. Clear Lake. Clear Lake looks like a postcard that forgot to update its terms and conditions. Wrapped around one of the oldest lakes in North America, the scenery is dramatic. Mountains, water, sunsets that make you forgive things temporarily. The people are a mix of longtime residents, retirees, artists, and newcomers chasing affordability with optimism. Homes remain cheap by state standards. Median prices sit around $250,000 to $220,000, with rents often $1,050 to $1,200. The cost of living runs roughly 25% below the California average. That affordability attracts a wide range of residents, not all of whom arrived with the same expectations. The economy revolves around healthcare, retail, seasonal tourism, and informal hustle. Jobs exist, but income can be uneven. When tourism slows, the town feels it quickly. Stability depends on diversification and patience. Crime is Clear Lake's tension point. Property crime is common, and violent crime rates sit higher than national averages. Incidents aren't constant, but unpredictability shapes daily decisions. Safety varies block by block, and locals navigate accordingly. Healthcare access includes regional hospitals and clinics, making basic care manageable. Education quality varies widely, with community involvement playing a major role. Weather is mild compared to inland valleys. Warm summers, cool winters, heavy seasonal smoke during wildfire years. Outdoor life is the town's anchor. Boating, fishing, kayaking, trails. Dining ranges from charming to questionable. Entertainment often happens outdoors or at community events. Clear Lake is emotionally complex. It offers beauty, affordability, and water access alongside friction, inconsistency, and adaptation. Living here requires discernment. For some, the lake outweighs everything else. Number 2. Porterville. Porterville sits where the Central Valley meets the Sierra foothills, quietly benefiting from geography without charging luxury pricing. The people include agricultural families, healthcare workers, commuters, and retirees looking for balance. Daily life feels suburban and deliberate. School runs, work shifts, evenings outdoors when the heat allows. Housing prices remain accessible but rising. Median homes range from $260,000 to $290,000, with rents commonly $1,300 to $1,500. The cost of living stays about 25 to 30% below the California average, though growth pressure is slowly tightening margins. The economy is anchored by agriculture, healthcare, retail, and logistics. Sierra View Medical Center stabilizes both employment and medical access, making Porterville more resilient than many nearby towns. Jobs are steady, incomes moderate. Crime exists, but isn't uniform. Property crime dominates statistics, while violent incidents appear less frequently than in neighboring cities. Neighborhood choice significantly shapes daily experience. Education includes public schools, workforce programs, and access to community colleges. Retirement here appeals to people seeking affordability without isolation. Healthcare access, proximity to nature, and manageable winters draw retirees who value routine over novelty. Weather runs hot in summer, mild in winter. Outdoor life is a major draw. Hiking, foothills, and national parks nearby. Dining is improving. Family-owned and practical, entertainment is limited but slowly expanding. Porterville is transitioning. Growth brings opportunity and strain. It isn't static, but it still works. Number 1. Avenal. Avenal operates like a utility. Quiet, functional, and focused. Sitting along Interstate 5, it attracts people who prioritize stability over stimulation. Residents are workers, families, and retirees who value predictability. Daily life is repetitive by design, built around routine rather than distraction. Housing is among the cheapest in California. Median home prices hover around $180,000 to $200,000, with rents often $900 to $1,150. Cost of living runs roughly 35% below the state average. Money stretches further here, partly because spending opportunities are limited. The economy revolves around agriculture, logistics, and the state prison, the largest employer. Jobs are steady and recession-resistant. Income is modest but reliable, shaping a community centered on consistency. Crime trends lean toward property incidents. Violent crime remains lower than many comparable towns. Safety feels routine and familiar rather than guarded. Healthcare access relies on clinics and regional facilities. Education focuses on public schools and workforce preparation. Retirement in Avenal attracts people who want low financial exposure. Social life is small. Healthcare requires planning and entertainment is minimal, but housing pressure is almost non-existent. Weather is hot and flat. Summers exceed 105 degrees Fahrenheit regularly. Outdoor life is limited, but peaceful. Dining options are few and repetitive. Entertainment is largely home-centered. Avenal doesn't offer variety. It offers control. And for some, that's the real luxury.